I want.
Correct.
It takes somebody with integrity to lead a woman in the right direction.
Absolutely.
I tell people all the time, I'm in charge of this relationship. God is in charge of everything.
Yeah.
So when my girl looks at me to lead the house, I got to lead the house, but it's not from my needs.
Yeah.
Because if it was my needs, bro, she's out shit cold. That like she's not gonna get the best out of it.
Of course.
But now I have a God looking at me and monitoring it. You gotta love her like you love my church.
No, absolutely. Everything you're saying is completely true, and I agree with you. There's two ways we can answer the question. We can talk about it from a religious perspective and what you just described, and you're right, being a God-fearing man is going to lead a woman in the correct direction because a woman is a reflection of her man, and that's why you see if a woman gets with a bad guy who does drugs, she ends up doing drugs and doing bad things, and a man can lead her in the wrong direction.
She comes from our ribs, metaphorically and physically and mentally, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna be, like you're saying, doing drugs, she's gonna follow my lead.
Absolutely. But I'm just talking about it from a societal perspective. I'm making an overall societal observation, the fact that now we have monogamous societies, but because they're not truly monogamous, all of the desire is being outsourced towards degeneracy, as opposed to having a society where a man is allowed more than one wife, for example, and then the degeneracy isn't needed. You don't need pornography and you don't need prostitution if you're allowed to have 2, 3, 4 wives if you're successful. And the point I was going to make earlier is that in certain countries, this is still the case. And I'm just speaking here in generalities. I don't have proof for any of this, but if you look at Russia, right? Russia is a Christian nation. There's a lot of Muslims as well, but it's traditionally a Christian nation. But if you're a very rich, powerful Russian man, and I've been to Moscow, I can assure you, you have maybe 4 or 5 wives. Or not wives, 4 or 5 girls.
Yeah.
And your wife understands about who the other girls are, and she doesn't really care. Don't look, don't care, don't ask. I have a Bentley, I have a big house, I have the children. He plays around with these other girls sometimes. I don't care, I'm his wife, and that's just how things are set up. That particular man who's very, very rich, he's not interested in pornography. He's not interested in prostitutes. He's satisfied. He has enough for whatever his ego desires or his heart desires. Then you look at the West and you look at the most degenerate things which can possibly happen, which are actually levels above prostitution and pornography. If you look at Epstein's Island, for example, when you have very rich, powerful men and they're told by the public sphere, you're not allowed to have more than one woman, but they don't have God to control them. They're godless. Then they say, okay, well, how can I satisfy myself if God's not restricting me? The society's saying I can only have one woman. I'm not allowed to have 4 or 5, which would satisfy me in some regard for my ego or unhealthy reason or whatever my reason is. So I'm going to end up doing things in private. I'm going to end up doing things in secret. And then you have Epstein's Island appear. So it's kind of interesting. God is important, and God is extremely required to restrict people. But if you take the God out of the element and you only use society to try and restrict the sexual desires of people and tell them they have to be monogamous, you're going to end up with more degeneracy than if men were allowed to be polyamorous and have more than one wife. Does that make sense?
100%. And the reason why I asked you, is this generation more evil than the last? And I wanted to circle back how you said the West is falling apart.
Yeah.
I believe that it's kind of, and I always go back to biblical references, not because I'm an annoying Christian, but I just like truth. And I notice that truth comes out of these testimonies that I see.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I've realized with humanity, God or no God, it's your access.
Yeah.
And I think that's why God reflects the heart. He doesn't reflect your actions. He reflects your heart. Because let me give an example, pornography. I don't watch porn.
Me neither.
The reason why I don't watch porn is, one, it's unhealthy.
For me, before you carry on, I don't watch porn because it's genuinely uninteresting. Like
It's gotten weird.
You could put porn on and I'd be like,
Yeah.
I just don't get it. That's the thing.
And also, for example, I like to practice the monogamous relationship. So when I get married one day, I know my girlfriend's not going to be at the prime model look when she's 50 or whatever she is. So I got to practice that this is the only woman that I have. It's diligence.
Correct.
Okay. So opening up the access. Look at a man who's watching pornography. I fall off the wagon every once in a while. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm perfect. About a year, maybe 2 years ago, I was watching porn, and there was, back in the day when I was growing up, was like your stepmom.
Yeah.
And to me, that was always weird because I'm like, dude, that's your, like, still, it's your mom.
Yeah.
Now it's your mom. And then when I, last year when I tried, I did a KSI and Sidemen thing where it was Impulsive and Sidemen. We did this collab, and there was a girl who does porn there, and I made a joke, and I go, look, I'm stuck. And it went viral, and I realized, I'm like, everybody laughed at this joke because they know what I'm saying. And it's this porn style thing where if women are stuck, then men would come and have sex with them.
Yeah.
That's rape.
Of course it is. Yeah.
That's rape.
Yep.
And these men are enjoying this.
Yep.
So what is this teaching them? That you could take what doesn't belong to you. And I think a lot of the things that they're programming these kids to do actually comes first through pornography, because you watch it in secret and you're not really dabbling with your men what you're watching. It's kind of like a mustard seed that grows.
Yep. But then the question is, are they doing it on purpose? This is where you go deeper down the rabbit hole.
This video is sponsored by a freaking beast of a product that I absolutely love. Electric e-bike. Now, you guys always hear me talking about me riding my electric bikes, but there's a bike out there right now that is the perfect bike for the holidays. Perfect for your wallet, perfect for your entertainment, perfect for literally everything. I'm talking about for traveling, right? You don't want to put it on the hitch. You want something that could fold and you could put in your trunk, take to the beach, take to your mother's house, take it to somebody who likes bikes, but you're like, hey, let me unfold mine real quick, and then we could just ride together. You want one zippy, fast. You want one that has good durability, that's safe when you're riding. You want one that you could take everywhere, anywhere, at all times. Well, that's electricebike.com. Get hundreds of dollars in free accessories with your electric e-bike purchase this holiday, including America's best-selling e-bike, the XP 3.0. Visit electricebikes.com. That is Lectrice bikes.com. If you're dyslexic like me, I'll write it right here for you. Please visit the website. Who's doing it on purpose?
Well, there you go. Then you go deeper down the rabbit hole.
Okay, let's go deep.
Let's accept pornography is bad for a society. Let's accept that to be a fact.
It is a
fact. It is true. Okay,
yeah.
So pornography is bad for a society. Okay, why are they trying to destroy the society? Who are these people? What is their end goal? Is their end goal the sexualization of children? Is their end goal 12-year-olds to sit there and watch pornography and want to have sex? Is their end goal to confuse 12-year-olds to want them to try and change genders? Is that their end goal? I don't know. Is that why they take down the country's flag and put up another flag? This is another thing you have to understand. We talk about the Western world being fallen.
Do you mind moving that mic towards your mouth?
We talk about the Western world being fallen. What even is the culture of the Western world anymore? We have gang signs, and we have frozen food, and we have the pride flag. What else? Like, what even is there anymore that unifies us in any regard? I mean, I'm pretty sure, and I've never tested this, I don't want to find out, I'm under enough matrix attacks, but if you were to burn an American flag and burn a pride flag, you do more time for burning the pride flag. It's a hate crime. So you have to actually then understand is, okay, if this is destroying society, is it being done on purpose? And what is the end goal of it? And who's doing it in the first place? And then it gets really scary. I agree with everything you're saying about pornography, and I agree with everything you're saying about monogamy. I'm just trying to analyze the world and how it actually functions, and how do you fix these things? And
setting examples, leading by example. My question to you is this. Let's label this group of people that I want to label so we can circle back to it. What would you like to call them? The Matrix?
The Matrix.
The Matrix. So the Matrix is there. Do you feel like the Matrix is hyped up using media? Because think about it. When I walk around and I have discussions with people, not a lot of people have the same agenda that the media is having. And I think people are keeping up with it. So do you think they're flexing their power? Let me give you an example. Yeah. God is all powerful, all strong. Yeah. The devil isn't. But what his power is lies. Yeah. So he confuses you. God uses faith. The devil uses fear. Yeah. Do you think the Matrix is just full of shit and they're just fear-based?
Oh, they're absolutely fear-based.
So what is your goal? If you had to fight, like you are fighting, and you're banned from, what are you banned from? Like,
everything.
But you're on Twitter.